Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Campbell again, and today we're going to be looking at geothermal energy, fast focus composition number 41. And like always, the best way to be prepared to read a passage like this is to look at the questions first so you know what to listen for and what to focus on. Let's look at question number 1. The section titled Wind versus Solar is organized to do what? Well, I notice that the section that they're talking about is wind versus solar. They're asking me how the author has organized it or how the author has put the material together. And looking at the answer choices, I can see that they're going to ask if they categorize and list advantages of wind and solar energy, if they're going to compare and contrast the benefits and challenges of wind and solar energy, if they're going to organize it in order to help the reader understand the history of clean energy, or if they're going to describe the cause and effect relationships of wind and solar energy. So we need to go over to that section, wind versus solar, and make ourselves a note to pay attention to how the section is put together. Here we are at our section, wind versus solar. We want to look at the entire section. And we want to notice that it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we want to know how the author organizes this entire section of text. So let's make ourselves a note. I also want us to look at this idea that it's wind versus solar. If I'm playing on a sports team and my team's playing against your team, you might say the Cambells versus the students. And that way you know that we're on opposite sides, we're on opposite teams. So think about that as you're looking at this question. Now let's look at question number 2. The details in paragraph 8 can lead the reader to infer that, well, this question's asking me about paragraph 8. And it's asking me to make an inference. That's a logical guess based on the clues that are in paragraph 8. So what do the clues lead me to believe? Go back and make a little note next to paragraph 8 so you'll pay attention to what the clues are telling you about. Here we are at paragraph 8. Let's make ourselves our note. And we're just going to put that there so that we can stop and jot what we think that is mostly about and what it's trying to lead us to believe. Now let's look at question number 3. According to the article, the Earth at a 10-foot depth is what? Well, they're asking us about the Earth at a 10-foot depth. So we need to listen for that in our passage. When you run across what the Earth is like at a 10-foot depth, you need to stop, think about this question, highlight it, underline it, put a star next to it, do something so that you can remember what the Earth is like at a 10-foot depth. Now let's look at question number 4. Which detail from the article states a disadvantage of solar energy? Well, I noticed that they're asking me for a disadvantage, and I know that dis means not. And an advantage is like a benefit or a plus. So which detail from the article states something that is not a benefit or a plus of solar energy? Okay, let's look at question number 5. How does the article's author organize paragraphs 2 through 4? Well, they're asking us about paragraphs 2 through 4 only. And once again, they're asking us how the author has organized this material. How has the author put the information into paragraphs 2 through 4? So, looking at the answer choices, I can see that the author describes how the Earth's geologic process results in geothermal energy, or does the author list in sequential order the 3 types of geothermal energy? Does the author list and describe ways that people benefit from geothermal energy, Or does the author compare the three types of geothermal energy? Let's go over and make ourselves a little note next to paragraphs 2 through 4 so we can pay attention to how the author puts that information together. Here we are at our paragraphs 2 through 4. And what I notice is that they have subtitles that help me understand what each of those little sections are mostly about. So if I'm looking at how they're organized, I need to pay attention to that. I'm going to make myself a little note so that I can remember to pay attention to the organization of this entire section. Don't forget to stop and answer that when you get to that section. Now let's look at question number 6. Which of the following is still a problem for wind and solar energy? Well, I notice they're looking for one that is still a problem. As we read, we need to pay attention to what problems solar and wind energy have, and then by the time we get to the end of the passage, we need to see which one of these 4 answer choices is still considered a problem. We're ready for question number 7. What is the main idea of the section titled Wind versus Solar? Well, we've looked at this section before, but last time we were wanting to know how the section was organized. This time we're wanting to look at wind and solar, but we're wanting to look at the main idea. We want to know what this main idea is of this section. We want to know what it's mostly about. We're looking for the central idea. So we're going to go over and we're going to make ourselves a little note in that section to look at what the section is mostly telling us about. Here we are at our section again, wind versus solar, but this time we're looking for the central idea. And it's a large section. It's paragraphs 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we often have a tendency to only want to remember the last things we read. So it might be a good idea to stop and jot after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 after each paragraph and put what you learned in that paragraph so that you can put all of those ideas together to decide which one of our answer choices tells us the central idea of the entire section. Hooray! We're finally at question number 8. Which sentence from the selection best supports the idea that our planet's natural processes can provide us with clean energy? This question has 2 elements. It's looking for an answer choice that shows a planet's natural process and how it provides us with clean energy. So as you look at the answer choices, you have to have both of those present in order for it to be your correct choice. If I were you, I would make myself a T-chart for this question. I would have my answer choices F, G, H, and J. And as I read, I would listen for a planet's natural process and clean energy that it provides. If I hear a planet's natural process in F, I'm going to put a check. If I hear a source of clean energy in F, I'm going to put a check. The same thing here for G, H, F, and J. If it's not there, you're going to put an X. The one with 2 checks is probably your answer choice. You're ready to go. You have everything you need to be successful on this passage. Now you have the job of going back and very carefully reading this passage, making sure that you stop and answer all of our questions, making sure you put stop and jots where you made yourself little notes to do so. Good luck with this. I know you can do it. We're proud of you. Keep up the good work.